Are you happy in your business? Now, I have had my share of emotional ups and downs in my 20 years of being a solo entrepreneur coach. And the patterns I've seen in myself and in my clients is that those downs are usually when I was personally feeling unfulfilled. Sometimes it was because a launch that flopped, and sometimes it was just life and had nothing to do with business. But those ups, oh boy, those are the times when I was feeling my most authentic and completely aligned to my purpose, or when I just felt like I was rocking that work-life balance. I would be thinking I could do this all day long and never feel tired. One of my loves is sharing what works for me and what has been working for my clients to achieve this very feeling, full of passion, happiness, peace, and freedom. So I decided to create a private podcast for coaches. Maybe you just want to develop better communication skills that boosts engagement, leads to better results, and makes you feel like you're actually making a difference in the lives of the people you serve. Then you're invited too. We talk about this and more in the UBU private podcast for coaches. Whether you're a mentor, a parent, or run a client-focused business, coaching skills benefit everyone and anyone who wants to communicate in a way that builds relationships. Fall in love with your life and business again. Click the link in the show notes for your invitation to join us right now. Then come back and enjoy this episode. Hey Difference Maker, welcome back to part 3 of this bite-sized deep dive into the DISC Maxwell DISC method versus the Enneagram. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about which one is even better, Jen. Should I bother learning about one versus the other? And the truth is, both are really going to serve you well. Stick around and I'll tell you why. It's time to stop comparing yourself to others and plug into what is uniquely you. Welcome to Unbox Your Personality, the podcast for coaches, creatives, and educators like you who understand that your happiness makes you more effective at what you do, bringing out the best in others. I'm Jen P. Higgins, personality strategist and Enneagram fluff remover. Get laser focused on who you are and who you aren't, so you're free to make the impact you were born to make. And have fun doing it. Your personality is your business. So let's get down to business. Now, in the last episode, I talked about the difference between augmentation and integration. And I'll recap here. Augmentation with the DISC is finding someone who has the style that is not necessarily your dominant style or one that is a strength of yours, and hiring that skill out so that your team becomes more well-rounded. You can do this with the Enneagram as well. But what I've noticed is that a lot of hiring agencies use the DISC for this method. Also, a lot of direct sales companies use this when it comes to recruiting for your team, knowing if you're going to be compatible and even if you want to work with those people. Because isn't it the beauty of being your own boss is that you get to choose who you work with? So when it comes to hiring, I definitely recommend using the DISC profile, especially for people who aren't as aware or maybe don't even understand how much their personality affects the way they show up at their job. Their DISC profile is going to inform you how they show up at work. And in this scenario, that's pretty important. And you can do this using the Enneagram as well, but most hiring agencies do use the DISC profiling system. If you're going to use the Enneagram for this, I recommend you really finding a unicorn and finding someone that is on the healthier side of your growth number. And I'm also going to recommend that you find someone that is your stress number, but it's very key to find someone that has good boundaries, has good communication skills, because if not, they can trigger you. And that's no bueno. Working with someone that is your growth or your security number can be uncomfortable, but nobody ever said that growth is comfortable. But they're going to be able to really help you with the blind spots that you're not going to be able to see in your own business, and you need to be open and coachable to that, even though you're the boss. But the reason why I'm really recommending the DISC over the Enneagram is because, first of all, the DISC is a quiz. And so it's a really quick assessment to get a snapshot of the way the person taking the test is behaving in that moment for that environment. And so you can get really quick and really accurate results that way. We all know with Enneagram, there's a lot of mistyping that goes along, and that stinking test just is not accurate all the time. However, augmentation does not necessarily mean personal growth. Sometimes that can look like just getting the job done. And sometimes that's not too fulfilling, especially during those moments of stress. Therefore, you also have to speak to that integration, that growth. And while you can do that with DISC, it will show you those 4 dimensions and which dimensions that you need to improve upon. The Enneagram is the only personality tool that I have come across in my 20 plus years of working with personality that gives you that very clear path, that growth path, that game plan that gets you unstuck without anyone else there to call you out on your stuff. How empowering is that? My philosophy is, if you're not growing, then you're dying. And although perfection is something that is great to strive for, I have this fear that as soon as I'm perfect, I'm dead. And so I'm okay with not being perfect, but I sure want to enjoy the journey, and I also want to make a difference while I'm here. Now, I am a big fan of both the DISC and the Enneagram. I just happen to marry the Enneagram. But just know that when we work together and maybe DISC is your favorite, that is okay. Bring it to the table and we will use whatever language fits you to help you design a business that totally lights you up. And if you're here to make a difference in this world through your business, it starts with you. It starts with your own personal growth and really understanding who you are, what drives you, what you value, and your superpowers. Once you see how you can leverage those things about yourself, you will unleash your power.
Thank you for listening, subscribing, and reviewing the Unbox Your Personality podcast. To learn more about yourself, go to powercoachjen.com. Find out how you are different so you can make your difference.